Hey, yo, what's up, fellas? I'm here with Mohammed. He's a Palestinian in the West Bank and a comrade, and we're just going to be talking about things like that. Do you want to introduce yourself?
No, we were just introduced me out of it.
Yeah, that's pretty good, honestly. Okay, let's start. Wait, how much time do you have before your lecture begins?
Oh, I have 2 hours. I have, all the time in the world right now, which is good.
Oh, okay. Okay, sweet, sweet. So, how has Israeli occupation within the West Bank changed before and after October 7th?
Oh, before, there have been a lot of raids recently. Like, my mom's from Tulkarm, right? She lives in Nablus. I have a brother who where so you just so you remember, I'm from Nablus, and my family's from Nablus, and we all live in Nablus, but my brother goes to school in Tulkarm for reasons I don't really wanna talk about. Like, they're not something you'll understand. It just has to do with the types of schools that we have. Anyways, he has to go to a school in Tulkarm, and sometimes we can't bring him back to Nablus because of how much raids happen from the IDF there. Like, a lot. A lot of raids have happened there in Tulkarm, and Tulkarm was not, known as a place that is, so if you're familiar with Palestine and Israel in general, you'd know that there are cities that Israel labels terrorist cities, okay? One of them is ours, Nablus. They used to label it as a city full of extremists because we had the line then 2 years ago, and there was Al Khalil, which they really hate, and other cities. Stockholm is not one of them, but recently they've been going there every single day. And my mom's parents live there, so it's not good at all. Like, situations there is pretty bad. Nablus is very fine relatively because our guerrilla groups don't exist anymore. Like, we had guerrilla groups, but they're gone, all of them almost. Like, 2 years ago, a person younger than me, who was the leader of one of our guerrilla groups, one of our famous ones, was arrested, and actually, he was executed by Israeli forces. He was 19 years old. And after his death, basically, Naples stopped having operations against, settlements. So the IDF kind of toned down raiding here.
Hmm. Oh, what
But
was a
Sultan has gone in the opposite direction. What did you say, Conrad?
what was the guerrilla group called?
Oh, there's the guerrilla group called. I think it was. Okay, so if you don't know, we had a lot of guerrilla groups. But the main one that happened 2 years ago in 2022, I believe, was called the Lions then. And they formed from all the political affiliations we have, all of them, no ideological motivations. Basically, you know how the KMT and the Chinese Communist Party kind of formed against Japanese colonialism? Basically the same thing, but with all our groups. And no one really knew anything about them. Like, don't understand where they come. Like, we know they were from Nablus because we're from Nablus and they came from the old city, but we didn't know anything about them. And neither does Israel, actually, because I see news that mentions them and it doesn't seem like they know anything about them. They just make assumptions.
Mm.
And to give you an idea, what happened is that they caused a lot of trouble for Israel. Israel got really mad. A lot of raids happened on the old city. And after they were all killed and you know, some members survived. The surviving members had to run away and hide in houses and other such things. Because it was really hard just hiding and hiding, they decided to give themselves away to the Palestinian Authority because it was, better than being caught by Israel. And they even actually killed. I think this happened 6 months ago, but I'm not really sure. But they did kill the founder. Not the founder, the father of the guy who founded the Lions Den. who had no relation whatsoever to the group. Like they just killed him just cause. And they do things like this all the time. Somebody is related, if you're related to somebody who's doing something, you're in a big a lot of trouble. Like they won't imprison you, they will kill you. Which, yeah.
What do the raids look like exactly? Like, have you seen any in person?
Oh no, I haven't seen any in person, thankfully. But in Tulkarm, they have gone pretty badly. They happen usually on the camps, if you don't know. Like we have villages, cities, and camps. The places with the camps are, kind of known for having more people that would the type of people that would do operations. So they do raid them, especially in Tulkarm. Like I've seen in the news a month ago on Al Jazeera how to care not on Al Jazeera actually, it was on one of our local channels, local news channels, Tulkarm, and I thought it was Gaza. I wasn't joking when I say this. I thought that it was Gaza because it was fully tore
Mm,
down to rubble, and really scary. Thankfully, this is not all of Tulkarm, just a small portion, but they have gone very aggressively on it.
okay. Okay. I know that before October 7th, a lot of people from the West Bank could travel to Israel to work. And I know that's been stopped recently. Has that affected the economy at all?
Oh yeah, has.
Okay.
They just clearly no one has any money. But this has been true since COVID, basically.
Okay. So,
This has
so
been true
it
since
was a bigger issue
since
since
COVID.
COVID. Okay. How did COVID affect Palestine?
Economically,
Or just like
my
life
father basically killed the economy, really. My father, is a lawyer, and he used to have a job. Like he's still a lawyer, okay, but we have had weird reforms with our courts, which were pretty corrupt, anyways. But like, we had reforms that have fucked everything up. Like basically, nobody can file lawsuits anymore due to the laws that have been done. It basically made anybody that doesn't have any money, and by any money, I mean like if they're not rich as fuck, and which no one is in Palestine, they can't file a lawsuit. So, and COVID basically ended all the jobs of pretty much all lawyers. So people who are lawyers who should technically have a job, they have to work other jobs to get money. Now, this is not true for other jobs, like people who are doctors obviously still work and get money, and people who are engineers, I suppose, do still have work, but like my father's job was pretty much done. My grandfather is one of the oldest lawyers here. Like he was a lawyer when no one was in the country because he's really old. And he retired because there was no work anymore. Like there's no work. No one files anything. Nothing's going on. So he retired. And he's pretty old anyway, so he can retire.
Mm. Do you guys have to pay a lot of unfair taxes? I've heard that Israel makes you
Yes.
guys pay. Okay.
Yeah.
How does that affect you? And people in the West
Bad.
Bank.
There's this axe. The problem is I know its name in Arabic, not English. ضريبة القيمة المضافة. Its name in Arabic is ضريبة القيمة المضافة, the additional tax. Oh, on it's an additional tax, and I'm pretty sure the Palestinian Authority put another tax, which is just one shekel for everyone. Another one. Yeah, we do pay stupid taxes for Israel. And the Palestinian Authority, and the funding goes from the Palestinian Authority to Israel. It's all a mess.
Hmm. What are the taxes usually on? Is it like property or like goods when you're like buying something?
Pretty much everything. I don't think there's anything there on no tax on electricity, water. There's a tax called the additional tax. It's basically a tax in addition to the taxes. I don't know how it works, but it's not on anything specific. It's just an additional tax they take.
God damn. Holy shit.
Yeah, I'm not
Okay. What would you say are the major struggles living in the West Bank under Israeli occupation?
freedom of movement is pretty much the first one that comes to mind because if you have to move, like I live in Nablus, right? There are settlements in Nablus. There are settlements in pretty much every city in Palestine, but like movement is real hard. Like it's not easy to move. Like moving in Nablus is okay, you can move, right? But when you want to move from a city to a city, you 100% will have to pass by a checkpoint or a city to a village. And, sometimes the village is actually part of the city. So, yeah, sometimes in our own cities, we have to go through a checkpoint, and the checkpoints have Israeli soldiers. And if we don't have an ID card or have somehow lost it, we could get in a very, 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 very big trouble. Like, we sometimes people get shot or unfairly, and yeah, that happens all the time. Unfairly imprisoned. Losing your ID card is very dangerous in Palestine. Very, very dangerous.
Hmm. Hmm.
As other than
No, no, go ahead.
freedom of movement, which is a big problem in general, like it's not just a problem inside the city. When you move outside, like Palestinians, we don't have much countries we can go to without a visa. Like there are 12, I believe. Venezuela, Bolivia, South Africa, and Jordan are and Nicaragua as well. Okay, these are the five countries that I know that we can travel to without a visa. Jordan's the only one which is nearest. Three of the ones I mentioned are in Latin America. One is in Africa. Jordan's next to us. We can move to without visa, right? We can go to Jordan. And a lot of Palestinians travel to Jordan, just traveling, chilling. We have to go to Jordan. We have to go through like seven checkpoints, like ones inside our own cities and ones that are bet- the ones between cities and the one between the country and the city and the one between the country and the country. Oh my God. Like you spend an hour just 2 hours being checked for with everything you have, your phone, your stuff, everything that you have, you get checked for it. It's painful. Like, it's the most annoying thing you could ever think of, you know? You know how road trips are annoying? Sometimes you get a headache on a road trip, sometimes just like that. That's basically the feeling you have for the entire 2 hours. You're being checked.
Okay. What would you say? How are the soldiers who are doing these checkpoints? Are they like young hotheads? Are they like what's their demeanor like? Have you had an experience?
Oh, they're grumpy, actually. They're very grumpy, like, way too grumpy. Like, I remember when we went to last time we traveled outside of Palestine. I don't know why, like, they were really angry, and I don't remember, like, I don't get why they were angry because I was like, "We're not doing anything, we're just going outside the country, we're just traveling, we're not doing anything, obviously, we're not involved in any operations." It's probably because they're usually always searching for someone who's committed to the operation. Women or men alike, like, sometimes women do operations too, and, they do serve for women. In the past, they used to not, but now if a woman has committed even, like, a small act, they will serve for her. They will. Like, they will stop you on the checkpoints and ask you questions, blah, blah, blah. It's annoying.
Mm, of course, of course. There's a lot of Israeli settlers who try to go into the West Bank, take things like that. Do you have any personal experiences or family stories with these?
What's up? Actually, no, thankfully. I've not met any Istanbul in my life.
Okay. Do you guys have any
Just lucky
family?
girl.
Do you guys have any family
Right.
or personal stories that are kind of unique that you want to share? Maybe.
About what?
Just dealing with Israel or living in the West Bank.
Personal stories. Yeah, this one is not an actually sad one. My grandfather used to tease me when I was young. Um, you reminded me, okay, there's my grandfather is from a village called Al Sawiya. It's near Ramallah, basically. It's near our city in Ramallah. We're from Nablus. He's from Al Sawiya. Yeah, and when we were young, this doesn't have to do with any settler. When we were young, I don't remember why, but we were going to his house in Al Sawiya. I was very young, like I think I was 2 years old or something like this. I don't remember this, but my parents tell me that it's true, and my grandfather always tells me the story, to tease me. I remember we were just on a visit to Osalia in a car together, all of us. I think my brothers were still not born yet. My other one, yeah, the one that's just 3 years younger than me. And we were stopped by an Israeli soldier, and she's a woman, not a man. And I remember he always told me that she said that I was at the time I was a really young kid, like really really young. How old was I? I don't really remember, but very young. And the Israeli soldier was like, "Oh, that's a really cute kid," you know. And my grandfather has kept teasing me about the story for like my entire life. Like my grandfather's really old, but like he still remembers this. He's told me this for like I'm 20 years old, right? He's told me this pretty much a lot of times, more than I can remember. And I obviously get annoyed because I don't need to tell you why I get annoyed, but you know that's kind of cute.
No, no, of course, of course. Mohammed has that riz, you know. Okay.
I was a really young kid at the time. I was a cute as a kid, but yeah, I,
I've seen. I think your profile pictures you as a kid, right?
Kenzo Tamura.
On TikTok, right?
Oh yeah, that's me. Yeah, but that's not me as a kid. That's me as a young kid, but like not that young. This was me in Lebanon. I was, at the time 10 years old. But the story I shared right now was like when I was 3 or 2 years old. My profile picture there is when in 2012, 10 12 years ago,
Okay.
in Baalbek, a city in Lebanon.
I mean, you were still a cutie when you were 10. I mean, I'll say.
It was
Okay. What political organizations exist in the West Bank? I know you were talking about the Lions Den.
they don't exist anymore. Israel, like I've seen them being mentioned, but they don't exist anymore. I told you that they killed not not the founder, the guy, the father of the person who founded the group was killed, and he did not have to do anything with the group. He was not somebody involved politically or militarily. He was just killed because he was related. It was his father.
They really want to punish anybody involved
Yeah,
in
and
groups, huh? Yeah. Um. So why do you think the West Bank has had like trouble or politically organizing these kinds of groups like the Lions Den?
because of the Palestinian Authority, not really a surprise.
Mm. What is the Palestinian Authority? Um. Could you explain that super quick?
You don't know, like you should.
No, no, for anybody I know what the Palestinian just for anybody who's, like, listening right now who doesn't.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let me see you explain it so that I can, correct anything that is wrong
Okay,
about.
okay, how do most people in the West Bank, view the Palestinian Authority compared to Hamas?
Oh, negatively, extremely
Okay.
negative. They like okay, there are people who do support the Palestinian Authority or feel neutral towards the Palestinian Authority, but people in the West Bank, oh, they despise the Palestinian Authority. There's still people, obviously, who don't hate them that much. I personally don't hate them that much, but I have my reasons for not hating them. Like, I dislike them. No one likes them. But there are people that will defend them or be neutral towards them. But the majority, the vast majority, is definitely very negative in like the most negative sense you could think of.
Mm. What issues do they have with it? Like, it's corrupt, it's like an Israeli
Yeah,
but
corruption is one, but it's not just corruption. They're seen as Israeli collaborators, and obviously, no one here likes Israeli collaborators for reasons I don't need to explain.
yeah, of course.
Besides that and corruption, they shut down a lot of resistance to Israel. You know, a lot of people who resist Israeli occupation, like this is something I don't think people in the West know, but like supporting Hamas in the West Bank is not actually easy. Like you could get into jail for that. Like that's not a joke. You could get 100% could get into jail for openly supporting Hamas in the West Bank. It's not okay. Like, are there people who support Hamas in the West Bank? Yeah, the majority of people. Not like there are people that don't, and there are people that do, but it's the majority of people that do. There are people that still support Fatah, but not the Palestinian Authority. Like, uh, you know, Arafat is seen positively by people who support Fatah. Abu Mazen, who is the leader of Fatah right now and the leader of the Palestinian Authority, is seen negatively by everyone, including people who support Fatah. And Fatah, if you don't know, Fatah is a social democratic organization. They, in the past, they used to be liked, actually. Like, people did not use to dislike them here. Like them being disliked happened basically after Oslo, and even also back when Oslo happened, Oslo was not seen negatively when it happened. When it happened, uh, it happened after the fall of the Soviet Union, like 2 years later. Absolutely, like I'm 100% sure that the Oslo negotiations happened due to three things: the dissolution of the USSR, the fall of the Berlin Wall, and the Iraq-Kuwait War. Basically, all of these happened around the same time that the Madrid negotiations and Oslo happened, just way later. And I've read in Zionist publications a lot of shitting on Eastern Germany. You know East Germany, the DDR, the GDR.
Yeah.
And they mentioned that they that East Germany was very, 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 very against Israel. Like they mentioned them in the most negative way possible and how much they were involved against Israel. They state that they were the top arms supplier of the BLO, and the BLO at the time, if you don't remember, was supported by most Palestinians. Like it was seen as the actual representative. Not today, the BLO isn't active, and the BLO is kind of the BNO, and they're not the representative of the Palestinian people. But at the time, the BLO was definitely the representative. When the PLO lost, Saddam was also an ally of the BLO, right? Like, I know a lot of people don't know this, but Saddam was seen as an ally of of the late Soviet Union, Brezhnev and all. He wasn't seen as an ally by Palestinians, at least, of the US. And if you don't know, this is something you might have seen mentioned before, but Palestinians were kicked out of Kuwait and the Gulf countries. The reason being that the PLO supported Saddam's invasion of Kuwait. Rightful, I think. I don't think we were wrong to support the invasion. We were correct. Kuwait was stealing oil from Iraq. America told Saddam that they wouldn't get involved, and Saddam believed America naively and invaded Kuwait. Palestinians support who still love Saddam, like a lot of Palestinians love Saddam, and the BLO itself supported Saddam's decision. And Saddam also had, part of what it had to do with it was Saddam and Gaddafi both not believing that the Soviet Union was going to dissolve. Like at the time, Gorbachev was leader in the late. This is after Brezhnev, and Arafat, Gaddafi, and Saddam all didn't understand that the Soviet Union was gone, basically. Like, yes, it still existed at the time. This is in its late existence when basically all the stupid reforms happened. And I don't mean just in the Soviet Union. I mean in all of the Eastern Bloc. Like there were reforms happening in Hungary, Bulgaria, Romania. Romania, oh yeah, Romania got stuff from the IMF. And I'll tell you something. I had, not like these are my parents. These my grandma has a brother. Okay, he lived in Hungary. He was a communist, and he lived in Hungary in the East when it was part of the Eastern Bloc. He was a communist. He studied in university because it was free, and he was a communist. Like he was a dedicated communist, and lived in a communist country. Not really as, and a lot of Palestinians studied in the Eastern Bloc. It's not really some crazy thing. Even like a lot of non-communists studied. Like the country's Palestine. There was a whole generation of Palestinians who studied in these countries: Poland, Romania, Hungary, Bulgaria, the USSR, and Iraq under Saddam. Basically, these were the countries that people studied for in, because education in universities was free, and they give scholarships to Palestinians, and they were obviously allied with Palestine and had zero diplomatic relations with Israel at the time, with the exception of Romania. I think Romania still had diplomatic relations with Israel. Another example was Egypt. Like my grandfather studied law in Egypt during Nasser's time, when Gamal Abdel Nasser was the president of Egypt, and education was also free for Palestinians at the time in Egypt, because Nasser was a pan-Arabist and all. So I was just going on a whole tangent about the USSR. See, everyone at the time in the Middle East basically didn't know what was going on. Like, I read that Gorbachev basically told Arafat that they were not gonna compete with the USA anymore, and Arafat just didn't understand what Gorbachev meant. Obviously, Gorbachev was the one who basically paved the way for restoration of diplomatic relations with Israel, and if you look it up, you'll see that the ties with Israel that Russia had were established just one day after the dissolution of the USSR. In the Middle East, Gorbachev is seen very negatively. Like my grandfather hates him a lot, and my father too. They both really hate him. Like he's seen as a sellout, basically.
Makes sense.
I don't know if you know this, but like Palestinian society in general is not like we're conservative, right? But like globally, we're seen as part of the left. You know what I mean by that. I don't mean the left as liberalism here. I mean like the adjacent, the socialist left, leftist, pan-Arabists, communist movements. We're kind of adjacent to it, especially at that time. And you know, at the time, in the 80s and 70s, especially that time, we were still part of that. And even today, like the left is seen in a positive sense by most Palestinians, because obviously the left is our ally and globally, in Latin America, in Europe, in general. Like I hear like a lot of stupid right wingers in the West talk about, oh, the stupid leftists. Why do they support Palestine? As if we're not left wing or something. Like if you look up our groups, you'll realize that they're like all of our groups actually lean left wing. Like which group do you think? Like the Lebanese civil war, right?
Uh,
I know I'm going back into 1982, but like who are the groups in the 1982 Civil War, which we were very involved in, right? They were the Phalangists, the Kata'ib, which were, these are the Lebanese groups, right? You know who they were based on? The allies of Israel. Just go look up their Wikipedia. Just look up. I'm not joking. You look up their Wikipedia right now, and Wikipedia is a very
do that.
liberal.
What
Uh,
what what are they called?
Wikipedia is a very liberal source, right? Like Wikipedia is very liberal, so, right? So I want you to go look up the Phalangists right now,
Yeah.
and you're gonna read in the top who they were based on, who they admired for their discipline. These were allies of Israel, and I'm using Wikipedia here because Wikipedia is obviously a liberal source. It's not, you know, it's obviously biased to liberal views, right?
Yeah.
So they wouldn't lie about things like that, and this is true. This is basically a fact. These guys were fascists, and you will realize why. Now, if you read correctly, you read that these guys were they based their ideological views on the Nazis, and I'm not joking. It's written in the fucking Wikipedia page for them that they were based to they admired the discipline of the Nazis, and they based it on. These guys were allies of Israel during the 1982 Civil War, and Israel helped them commit Sabra and Shtela, which was a massacre that killed mu- ba- b- Muslim and Christian Palestinians as well as Shia Muslims in Lebanon.
Huh.
The ones that
Oh
were
my god. Their national affiliation happened on my birthday. Fuck them. Oh my god. Okay. Um, yeah, no, that's fucking crazy. But I mean, Israel's not above working with Nazis. They worked with the Nazis on the Havara. So
oh yeah, I know that.
yeah.
Lehi. I mean, Lehi was a fucked up group. What were you serious to say? Like, they were more fucked up than the other groups.
Yeah.
They're probably the most cursed Israeli group that existed. Oh boy. I
Oh,
mean, I think Israel in general actually has neo-Nazis. Like, I've talked to people from. There's a weird because this is something that I think a lot of people don't know, regardless of where they're from. Even from Palestine, people don't know this. There are neo-Nazis in Israel, and this is not surprising. The main reason is because like there are a lot of people from Eastern Europe that go to Israel. They're not really Jewish. So you end up with some of the neo-Nazis, that were in Eastern Europe, like countries like Ukraine, etc., etc. You know what countries I'm talking about: Lithuania, Estonia, these countries. You will actually find somebody that was a neo-Nazi from these countries. It just has to be. And these guys exist in Israel. Like they work in, you know, the IDF, which is hilarious and also really fucked up at the same time. Like I remember when, the what is it? It's one of the Nordic Nazi symbols. One of the Nordic symbols that was uh, taken by Nazis. It's called the Dark Sun. I think so.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I know that one.
That's a Nazi symbol, right?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, I remember like there was an Israelis with this symbol on them, like somebody in the fucking IDF. I don't really need to explain. Like the literal swastika is on them, but very small. The dark sun was the main point. Yeah, like these guys exist, man. Israeli society in general is pretty fucked up. Like I'm pretty sure they see the Nazis more positively than us, which is crazy. Yeah, let me go back. I went to a bit too further into it. Actually, I was saying that Palestinians in general lean with the global left. Like we see right wingers, especially European right wingers, extremely negatively. Like people like Miele, the president of Argentina. He's obviously seen as in a very negative light. One, because he's an idiot and a clown, and two, because he's a Zionist and a piece of shit. Left wing figures are seen positively. Chavez, Hugo Chavez. People like Hugo Chavez in Palestine because, he was cool. He was good. Also in Lebanon. I forgot the name. Uh, أنا نسيت الاسم. Um, talk with me a bit. Remind me, what's the name of Hezbollah's previous leader?
Nasrallah.
Nasrallah. Nasrallah. He mentioned that, people in Lebanon, if like Muslims, like supporters of Hezbollah, sometimes they hold eh, pictures of Che. Che is pretty normal. Like you'll see Che in Palestine all the fucking time. Like I go to the taxi here, I'll see Che as a sticker or on the back of a taxi everywhere, basically, because Che's a hero to everybody. But in Lebanon, they sometimes have pictures of Chavez and Che alongside each other. Because the Marxists and the Hezbollah supporters are kind of allied, and a lot of people in Hezbollah lean left, even if they're religious. They're conservative, but also kind of lean left. It's pretty weird. It's a bit hard to understand for people from the West, I guess, because, people see religion and Marxism as two anti things, but not really true here. Like the people who read to the atheistic, secularistic mindset here actually usually are liberals, not communists. Communists are usually people who are actually religious, or Hakeem, from Iraq, from the Deprogram podcast. Most communists in the Middle East are like him politically. Not super, super religious, but believe in religion, are Muslims, etc., etc. People who are, atheistic or agonistic are more on the liberal side, the annoying liberal side. Especially if they're not from Palestine. If they're from Palestine, they're more likely a communist. But if they're not, then they're the fucking the both sides liberal, and they're really annoying, especially ex-Muslims in the Middle East that are not from Palestine. If they're from Palestine, then they're much less annoying because they have to deal with Israel. So they basically understand that this is not a religious conflict because they live in Palestine and have to deal with Israel's bullshit. So they understand what's going on. But if they're not from Palestine, then they're fucking annoying. Especially if they're an ex-Muslim.
Huh. I never thought of it
Oh,
like that, really. That's interesting. Actually, I know a couple atheists, from North Africa that are communists, but I don't know if it's different in North Africa.
North Africa is in what countries? Algeria?
Morocco.
Oh, yeah, Morocco and Algeria are, I guess, different cases. I'm talking about countries that we consider 100% right in the Middle East, like Egypt, Jordan, not Kuwait, I would say Saudi, these places, these three places, because they're very much near Syria, Iraq, these places, the UAE as well. People who are usually ex-Muslims in them are lean to the annoying ass liberal side. The liberals, that oh, religion is bad, blah blah blah. These type of people. They're basically like this doesn't happen in Palestine because we kind of have to have a brain. We're smarter than the other Arabs, and because we live here, obviously, so we understand. Okay, I was starting to talk about the cause in the 80s when the Palestinian Authority basically the BLO lost all weapons, right?
Mhm.
They basically lost all their weapons suppliers. I have a friend from Gaza who told me that one of their weapon that Hamas had actually that one of the people that did supply Hamas with weapons was Gaddafi, and he's actually really loved in Gaza. And I was really surprised because Gaddafi's and like Gaddafi is kind of liked in Palestine. He is seen not positively in other Middle Eastern countries, but in Palestine he's seen positively to varying degrees. In Gaza, it seems very positively, which I was surprised of because I didn't know about that. Because this might be surprising to you, but we don't really know a lot about Gaza. Like I've talked to a lot of Gazans, and everything I've discovered about Gaza is that we don't know fucking shit about Gaza. Even though we're from the West Bank and we're supposed to know, like I thought, we're Palestinians, we probably share the same opinions, but no, there are differences between people from the West Bank and people from Gaza politically and on the, living side of things. So basically, when let me go back to the 90s. The BLO lost all their weapon suppliers. Cuba at the time, Castro, who was a weapon supplier to African movements, said that he would stop supplying them with weapons because, the uses are dissolved and they just couldn't give weapons anymore. East Germany dissolved. In fact, East Germany didn't just get annexed by West Germany. Before it got annexed, there was a whole vote of a supposed, free and democratic vote where East Germans voted to condemn anti-Zionism because Germans are fucking dumb, and and another one to remove the vote that was, there was a UN resolution saying Zionism is racist, and Arab countries as well, communist aligned countries voted yes. They removed the vote from that. They
I
removed the
support German hate. I absolutely support
same.
German hate. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Don't even start it on the yeah. I fuck
Go
that.
ahead. Go ahead, Ma.
Like seriously, fuck Germany. What Yeah, yeah, see why we support the dictator. Who cares if it's a dictatorship? Good dictatorship, bad democracy. Well, I support the DDR. Now, I don't know why they voted in support of Zionism. I don't get what's wrong with the Germans. Like, why do they love Israel this much? Especially like since these guys were part of East Germany. You're supposed to be smart guys, like.
I don't know. I don't know.
But I guess they did the right things. Anyways, this was before This was like the last elections East Germany had, and East Germany was gonna disappear anyways, just months after. East Germany disappeared. 2 years later, the USSR dissolved. Then you have the Iraq Kuwait War, which I mean, where Arab countries joined with the U.S. and America sanctioned Iraq to death. And Iraq was also a probably relevant supplier of the BLO because they were allies. So basically, I personally believe that because of how much weapons we lost, basically we lost all our suppliers and all our allies, the BLOs, kind of put in a corner. They were cornered. They just didn't have any allies anymore. So they kind of had to sign Oslo. And Oslo at the time was seen positively. My mom tells me this. My mom was still, I think my mom was almost an adult at the time. And people celebrated, when when the Palestinian Authority came to Palestine. They were outside of Palestine. When they came, people actually celebrated. People were happy that they finally got rid of Israeli occupation. Because, well, technically right now we're still occupied by Israel, even in the West Bank. But we don't see Israel as much as our parents did. Our parents, they had to deal with Israel. Like there were Israeli tanks would just walk around anytime they want. That doesn't happen in the same sense anymore because the Palestinian Authority exists. Obviously, the Palestinian Authority is ruled by Israel too, but in a different manner. My mom is one of the few people that I know that defends Oslo because of this. She says that she, really hated living with Israelis and that warmed it. My father is not like her. My father hates the Palestinian Authority a lot and does think of Oslo negatively. And a lot of people do think of Oslo negatively. At the time, politically, the two groups that opposed Oslo were the BFLB and Hamas, and they actually even signed some sort of agreement on opposing it. Basically, they were the two groups that were associated with being against it, and still are. But at the time, their opinion was seen actually as not the major the major opinion, not the major consensus of most Palestinians. Most Palestinians actually kind of supported also because it kind of was going okay. It was fine in the beginning because we had like our education. If you don't know, we had our school curriculum was from Jordan, not from Palestine. There was no Palestinian Authority, and the authorities we had, like for things like our cities, were basically from Israel. Like there was no like some of the groups. Keep forgetting some English names. I'm sorry. What
You can say them in Arabic if you need to.
uh, رئيس البلدية شو معنى؟ رئيس البلدية ها I forgot what about the is in English. You know, you know what a mayor is, not the mayor. What's the name of a person involved with a city? Not the mayor, not the
Council member, maybe?
probably something like this. Yeah, there was no such thing basically in Palestine due to Israel. Our authorities were Israelis. Eh, Palestinians being ruling us was a good thing. It was a good change. People celebrated at the time, but later with receiving Jericho and the stuff in El Khalil and in Jenin. I think Ali Mbabe. Ali Mbabe is an Israeli historian. He actually wrote about this in 10 Myths About Israel. You might know Ali Mbabe because he's one of the good Israelis, and he's a good one about him. I think he ran as a member of the Israeli Communist Party once. He's one of the new historians in Israel, the good one of them. He has a book called 10 Myths About Israel. He also read The Ethnic Cleansing of Palestine, but 10 Myths About Israel mentions the Oslo mythologies. And he actually goes deep into how, Arafat was the one who instigated the Second Intifada and he basically refutes the myth that Arafat was responsible for instigating the Second Intifada and ruining us. Yeah, we were not the ones who, did not listen. Oslo itself is basically Indian reservation type that happened in the USA. So not really a serious deal. And it wasn't us who fucked it up. It was Israel. When Arafat saw that Israel was not, refusing to give, I think the city that they were refusing to give was Gaza. It actually had to do with Gaza. And if you don't know, Arafat was actually from Gaza.
Mhm. I did not know that.
Yeah, Arafat was from Gaza, actually. Uh,
Oh, okay.
The Arafat is seen positively by Palestinians. Less so now, which is weird. Usually people see him better. At the time when he was, leader, he was seen as the representative and was obviously seen positively by most Palestinians. We had 3 elections, and he was elected in one of them against a woman from the DFLP. I forgot her name, I'm sorry. Hamas refused to run because they didn't want to legitimize the Palestinian Authority. Arafat won fairly because no one opposed them, really. No one had any reason to oppose him. So he won. And it was a fair election. National observers said it was fair and free, but, it was kind of a foregone conclusion because Hamas didn't run, and they would be big at the time opposition. Later, what would happen would be the famous or infamous in this case, David Camp Summit. What happened is that Arafat basically refused في حصة بيبعت I had 20 minutes. The Camp David Summit happened, and a lot of Zionists bring this one up. But Arafat, did what most Palestinians supported. He refused, right? He did not accept the deal because it was shit. It was a shitty deal. Like, yeah, duh. Like, why the fuck would he accept it after Oslo was not done well? Yeah. Most Israelis were mad. Most Palestinians were mad. And what did Sharon decide to do? He decided to do the most provocating move of all time, going to Al-Aqsa Mosque. And this basically made Palestinians really, 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 really fucking mad. And was basically the button that pushed the second intifada to happen. Sharon entering the Masjid al-Aqsa in Al-Quds basically caused the second intifada. Everyone got really fucking mad. And Arafat did not stop the second intifada because why the fuck would he? Israel was not negotiating in good faith at all.
How do people feel about the modern day leader of the authority, Abbas?
Oh yeah, people hate him. Usually, I know people. If like I told you that people who support Fatah see Arafat positively, but Abu Mazen negatively. People who don't support Fatah see Abu Mazen negatively and Arafat positively. So like people say share the same views. Although some people that are from modern day kind of view like my parents are not politically involved, but, like, they don't love Arafat. They obviously don't dislike him because there's not much to dislike about it. He was obviously the major representative of Palestinians, and he was honest. He wasn't, he wasn't a charlatan or anything, but, like, the BLO still had corruption problems, but he was obviously much, 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 like, a billion times better than Abu Mazen.
Okay.
And Abu Mazen was involved. Like Abu Mazen was actually in the Palestinian Authority. Like Israel once said that Abu Mazen is a KGB, an ex KGB agent, which cool, but lol. He denied it. Still, that's funny. Arafat is also accused of being one, but I think they actually is that Arafat was probably one. So that's the thing. Like I'm not joking. There's an article from the Israel. What is it called?
Knesset? No, Haaretz. Haaretz.
Now, Harrods is good. I'm talking about one of the shitty publications in Israel, not because one Harrods. Oh, yeah, Times of Israel. Yeah, they have an article called "KGB Invented Palestinians." I'm not joking. Look it up.
I think I've seen it before.
You've seen it before. Yeah, I've seen it before too, and it's hilarious. Obviously, it's false because, like, I have a Rambo, right? He was born before Israel was, independent, right? For it declared independence.
Yeah.
We called ourselves Palestinians then too. So whatever the fuck they're saying is just completely bullshit. Like we people in the 1940s before Israel declared independence also called themselves Palestinians. They did not call themselves Arabs like Israel. Like Israel does this weird thing which they've toned down recently because they kind of like the UAE. A lot of Israelis refer to us as Arabs, not as Palestinians. But in recent times, they actually began to refer to us as Palestinians because they hate us now, because they hate us more now. They kind of stopped liking the Arabs as much. They used to refer to us in the day as Arabs. All the time they would say that we're Arabs. They wouldn't call us Palestinians. They refused. Hell, even, the Israeli Palestinians, the Palestinians from Israel, are called Israeli Arabs. And even us Palestinians in the West Bank call them Palestinian Arabs. Israeli Arabs, I'm talking. So yeah. But I'm talking about us, people from Gaza, people from the West Bank, Israeli publications, Israeli society, and politicians, all of them would call us Arab and would refuse to call us Palestinians because Palestinians are an invention. Like, and obviously that's not true. Like, even the shitty quote we bring up about, oh, one of our PLOs made by the Soviet Union to stop American domination is bullshit. This because that quote is about pan Arabism, not about us not existing. Because we supported that. It's still supported. It just seemed not as much. It's not as big as it was because we kind of hate the Arabs now. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's like we still see it as a real thing, but like,
I mean, I understand. I understand given like fucking the UAE and Saudi Arabia and
oh yeah, we hate Saudi Arabia and the UAE. Oh my God, they're the most two hated countries here, probably in Obi. No, and that's not joking. Like, we really hate Saudi Arabia, right? And the UAE, Jordan and Egypt. Like, if I told you the countries we see positively, they're pretty much the most anti-Western countries you could think of. Like in Palestine, the countries the groups that are supported are basically the most anti-West things you could think of, going in the most anti-Western directions. Like the only countries not seen negatively in Palestine are like well, like, let me see. Basically, countries that don't have to do anything at all with the West.
Mm.
At all. Like Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, all are seen positively, right? Russia, China, Iran, Syria, technically.
North Korea,
Parts of Yemen. Yeah. What are you saying? Comment?
Korea.
Oh yeah, my father loves North. My father completely supports the DPRK. Yeah, but like my father's not a communist, right? But he supports the North. Okay, he always says that anything the West says about them is bullshit, and that he supports Kim. What is Kim doing wrong? What is the evil thing Kim is doing? He's not doing anything wrong. He's just opposing Western hegemony. He's good. And in general, communist countries have seen bothered with cows things like the USSR was an ally of the BLO, where the BLO was 100% allied with the East. Like you could look up pretty much any conflict. We were allied with the Eastern Bloc on everything. With the Sandinistas in Nicaragua, the BLOs allied with them. Israel was allied with the Contras, obviously. Cuba, Castro. We have a street named after Castro and Ramallah. So just to tell you, Castro's loved. Also,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
You
that's
ever
right.
been?
I've never went to this place. Like it was named when Castro died in 2016. I don't.
Ah, okay.
But Castro's mainly seen very positive here because he was obviously really cool. Yeah, people love Cuba. Cuba offers scholarships to Palestinians. Cuba's cool, and Che's cool. Like, there's really not much to oppose about Cuba. We hate the U.S. and what has Cuba ever done wrong? We have like it's very hard to oppose a country like this. Also, Venezuela is seen very positively. The the very basically the most anti-Western, mindset here. You know how people call Western leftist tankies sometimes? In Pakistan, we kind of have them. Like, technically, you're a tanky, right? I'm a tanky, right? Technically, we have communists, not communists, non-communists, who are also kind of tankies because they have the same freaking, like, they support the same people that you and I do, even though they're not communists. Good example is my dad, right? He actually, like, he 100% supports pretty much every single communist group you could think of. And in general, like, my family is pretty, socialist. They support communist movements and like, they speak positively about communist countries like China and Cuba and the DPRK. We're not anti-communist, and because, anti-communists are pretty bad people, and it's like, they usually, Israel is also seen as a very right-wing country. My parents, and we hit right-wingers, especially in Israel. And Israel is a very, very, very right-wing society. Like, that's not, something that is not well known. Just look up what is called who are called moderates in Israel. People that think destroying the people who call people human animals. These are moderates in Israel. So yeah, we definitely prefer left-leaning people to be in Israel. Even the center-left stuffs. Right? My mom really hates that there is no one that is, left-leaning in Israel. So we Palestinians in general see the left positive. Not on, like, the conservative to non-conservative scale. I'm talking about the geopolitical scale right here. It's the more important one. Like, I'm not conservative, and there are obviously communists in comparison to people in the Middle East are obviously not conservative. But in comparison to, people from the West, we're definitely, if we go take us fall, are good. They always consider, not me, but people in general. If you like my grandfather, like my grandparents are socialists, right? My grandfather was a supporter of Pan-Arabism, Nasserism, etc., etc. There were a lot of people that supported Baptists, Syrian or Iraq, the Syrian and the Iraqi. And there were actual lot of communists in the Middle East, and not in the Middle East, in Palestine in general. In the 80s, especially, there were a lot of people who were 100% fully communist. And they still exist, but they're older. They're not young anymore.
What's the younger generation like mostly? Well, where did
They're
is
supportive of Hamas.
okay.
As they're mostly, oh yeah, well, mostly apolitical. No one is really Palestinian society is not really divided politically. Like, we're kind of divided, but not that divided. Like, on geopolitical scale, basically, we're kind of united. Because we have to be. You don't really see us fighting over things people fight over in the West for, because we have the same opinions. Most people, like, people that have differing opinions from us, we don't really see it as a political disagreement, as a left right wing disagreement. Like, Hamas and the PFLP, which, Hamas is technically right wing, technically, not really extremely right. They're not extremist or anything. And the BFLP is left wing. But, like, if you're a supporter of the BFRB, who do you think you hate, Hamas or Fatah? Fatah. Same thing with Hamas. So people who are, supporters of Hamas and people who are supporters of the BFRB, they're both allies or more likely to be friends than with a person that supports Fatah, right?
Yeah.
So it's not seen as a right or left wing thing because it's a national liberation thing. And, national liberation unity is kind of like the anti-fascist unity in conflicts like World War.
So
II.
so are there any like Trotskyists or anarchists or like do those not exist?
No,
Oh,
definitely no anarchists in the West Bank. There are communists, yes,
okay.
communists. Trotskyists exist in the Middle East, but not in Palestine. And the country which they exist in is Egypt. Egypt has a Trotskyist, I think. They're actually scared of. But in general, there are there are definitely no left communists. Like, I don't really need to explain that one. Yeah, I seen your video on commodity production today. And like, yeah, left communists, but they don't exist, thankfully. I've never seen one in Europe, not in the West and not in the Middle East.
Okay. Okay.
But kids do exist. Like, oh yeah, thank God. Yeah, definitely. Like, Trotskyists do actually exist, and but anarchists kind of like a very, 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 very variety. Like they exist, but like there's who two people who don't live in Palestine anymore. Yeah, like not really. They don't really exist. Trotskyists. I've never met a Trotskyist in Palestine, but they definitely exist in Egypt, and they exist in Latin America too. I'm pretty sure they do.
Oh, they exist so hard in Latin America. Oh my god.
Uh, they're somewhat fine. I don't really hate them. Like some of them are good as shit. Some of them are fine. I mean, I don't like Trotskyists, but like they're half half. Sometimes they're good. Yeah, that shit.
Mohammed, which Arab countries can I be racist against? Which ones are you giving me the card for? Like the
Oh
racist
yeah,
card.
all of them except us. Oh no, yeah, no, not Yemen. Okay, not Yemen. Yemen is
Okay. No, yeah, man. What about Lebanon? Can I be racist against Lebanese or no?
yeah, fuck Lebanon. Like and like look, we don't hate the Lebanese. We like our Lebanese brothers, but like, how should I explain to you? Like we're Sunni, right? Palestinians are Sunnis, right? But the people that we support in Lebanon are not Sunni. We fucking hate the Sunnis there. We hate like the Shia there. That's kind of hilarious. Like that would never happen, but like that's not something that's supposed to happen. Despite 99.9% of Palestinians being Sunnis, we fucking despise everyone that is from the anti-Hezbollah crowd in Lebanon, and they do exist in Lebanon. Not very like not that crazy, but they do exist, and we do despise them. And they're usually not Shia, they're usually Sunni. There is also Shia anti-Hezbollah people, but they're rarer than the Shia ones.
Uh,
And there's also the Christian crowd, and the Maronite Christian crowd, which is very, very rare, was on the side of the Phalangists in the Civil War, and they committed massacres against Palestinians. So, yeah, we really hate them. They're basically the Gusanos of the Middle East. You know the Iranian diaspora and the Cuban diaspora. They're basically the field type. They're basically, oh yeah, but like unlike oh, Castro took my slaves. Here you have Palestinian and the communists, in this case, because yeah, the people that fought the Phalangists were Palestinians and communists because like we were on the same side, right? Oh, oh, they ruined Lebanon. You have the really racist, by the way. Like you know how Western Europeans talk about how immigrants ruined their country. There's actually a myth in Lebanon that Palestinians ruined Lebanon, right? The real one. Not joking. I'm not joking. I mean, our Palestinians are not actually allowed to teach in Lebanon. In Lebanese schools, Palestinians are not allowed to give lectures.
oh shit.
I'm not joking. Yeah. Sadly, I kind of have to go to another room to talk because there's gonna be a lecture in my room. So I'm going to another room.
Okay.
Yes, some see enter. حسيت بوشي حدا أنا. Yeah, look, as you can see, I'm moving. Like I'm moving right now. I wish there was no lecture. Like I'm trying to move. I don't want the internet connection to cut off because I still want to talk to you.
Yeah.
How are you? Okay. Where was I? Oh yeah, I was in Lebanon. Like Palestinians as well as Syrians are not allowed to teach in Lebanon. Like, we're allowed to study, but we're not allowed to teach in schools, and that's real. That's an old school. So yeah, that's pretty fucking racist. Like, we don't hate the Syrians, but the anti-Assad crowd. Which here's the thing: Palestinians are not supportive of Assad, but like the anti-Assad crowd also kind of sucks. And Palestinians in general are very pro-Russia. Like, I don't think I've seen anybody that actually opposes Russia in Palestine. As I told you, Palestine's pretty, on the vehemently anti-Western side. The most, you know how liberals, you know, especially like, Reddit, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, those that will say, they have nightmares about the tanky red fash, boogeyman that supports Russia, Iran, the DBRK, China. You know this, right?
Yeah, yeah, I know.
The Palestinians are basically this.
No wonder they hate Palestinians on Reddit then, Like, good God.
Palestinians are basically this. Like, Yeah, like we support. Obviously, we see China, but like, why would we see China negatively? Really, we fucking hate the USA. Like, I think if you were to ask, pretty sure, besides the DPRK, North Korea, I don't think there's any country on earth where America's hated more than here. Like we really fucking despise America, and for obvious reasons. Really, like
Yeah.
it's not really to see why we despise America, but like there are a lot of countries we hate. We hate like let me see. We hate all every okay. I'll tell you countries we don't hate, so that you know what countries we hate. We don't really hate Lebanon, but we kind of have problem with the Lebanese anti-Hezbollah crowd. We don't hate Syria, but we hate the anti-Assad crowd. Uh, we hate the Gulf, not really hard. No, we don't hate Qatar as much because like the Gulf countries hate Qatar, and we don't like Qatar, but we don't hate them. We love Yemen. We uh, we love the Yemen. We hate the anti-Saddam crowd in Iraq. We hate the anti-Gaddafi crowd. We don't really have any opinions. We love Algeria. There are places where we don't really hate. We kind of hate Egypt nowadays, despite having like Palestinians are super like we kind of like Egypt. Like we're like Egyptians, but we fucking hate Egypt.
How does it? Oh, like I'll see in Egypt.
Yeah, fuck Egypt. But Egyptians are cool. So Egyptians are not bad. But same with Jordanians. Jordanians are cool, but fuck Jordan.
Yeah, yeah, the
Fuck
monarchy
Saudi and
thing.
the UAE. We hate Saudi. We really hate Saudi and the UAE and the Gulf in general. We hate Europe, with the exception of countries like Ireland, which for obvious reasons. We don't hate Ireland, but we love Ireland. We hate every other country. Yeah, no joke. Oh yeah, we don't hate Russia. Russia is a country that we like Russia. And if you don't know,
What do you feel about Chile? Because I know there's a shit ton of Palestinians in Chile.
oh yeah, there's a lot of Palestinians and Latin American in general. There's in Cuba, there's in Chile, there's in Cuba's actually in the Caribbean, not in Latin America. But
What do you guys keep on moving to Chile though?
there's a co-op in Chile called Palestino, which was founded before Israel existed. By the way, like it has Palestinian, like they're actually sponsored by a Palestinian company, right? Chile has Latin America in general has a lot of Palestinians. Brazil as well has a lot of Palestinians. Like Latin America, we like Latin America. We love Latin America.
But you fucking hate America.
Oh yeah, yeah, the USA, of course. Well, we talk
Oh, thank God.
oh whoa, what the fuck? Like I told you right now, man, we love every single anti-Western country, whatever. Like uh, like really, yeah.
What about Eastern Europe though? Like how we feeling on Eastern Europe, like in general?
We love Russia, so kind of hate as well. You love Russia, you know. Yeah. If you don't know, like in Palestine, there are a lot of Eastern Europeans that are here. Like like I told you, there was a generation of Palestinians that was the taught in the Eastern blocks because it was free. So they married there and brought their wife there. So, for example, like, there are two women here that are like, one is my mom goes to a knitting shop, which has a Ukrainian woman as like I know the Ukrainian woman, and there's a Russian woman that lives there. They're both friends though. Like they don't really care about the war. Like the Ukrainian woman says that the Ukrainians don't actually care about joining NATO. Like Russians and Ukrainians are brothers, blah blah blah. Which is weird because that's not how it seems on TV or anything. But at least Ukraine was, from the Soviet times. So I guess that's why she's been here since 1999. After the dissolution, but she was born in the Soviet Union, and when she married her husband from here, from Palestine, he was in Soviet Union. The Russian woman is from Russia. She's not from the Soviet Union. She's younger, but they're friends. They talk Russian. They like each other. My mom goes there because she, likes the Russian woman. The Russian is a Muslim, the Ukrainian is still a Christian.
Nice.
But you wanted to me that you said that Ukrainians don't really care about joining NATO.
How old is she though? Like was she born like during the Soviet times?
The Ukrainian woman was born during the Soviet times, yes. The Russian woman was born during the Russian Federation.
Oh, okay. Okay.
No, wait a minute, wait a minute. Was she born during the Russian Federation? Am I wrong? No, no, she was not born.
Are they like young or old? Like how old are they?
One is young and the other is old. Like one is 49, I think, and the other is younger. But like, I'm not really sure about the ages. The Ukrainian woman was born in the Soviet Union, and like the Russian woman, I'm not sure when she was born because she like the Soviet Union has been dissolved a long time ago. When she was 18, I'm so fucking sure. Anyways, they did not. I'm pretty sure that the Russian woman does not remember the Soviet Union. The Ukrainian woman probably does.
Oh,
She's older than the Russian. The Ukrainian basically, like, my mom was surprised about it, where, like, she asked her she didn't know. My mom asked her, "What language were they talking at?" They were talking in Russian, obviously. And, the Ukrainian woman told her that, the Russians have, Ukrainian family members in Ukraine. The Ukrainians have Russian family members in Russia, etc. Vice versa, basically. That and vice versa. So they're family. So, it's pretty normal for these type of relationships. And the Ukrainians in general don't actually give a shit about NATO. So I guess this is just it's because she's from Soviet times.
maybe.
She's not been in Ukraine.
Yeah, because I've
Or
definitely met Ukrainians that were like because I used to live in the Bay Area and in California. In California, there's like a lot of Ukrainians, and
yeah, these are West.
yeah, yeah, they're very westernized. I will say they were westernized, but they were very pro.
It's just this person is from the Soviet Union and lives in Palestine. And like we're not a westernized man. Like if there is a country with the most anti-Western views ever, it's us, 100%. Like you're not gonna find a country with a more anti-Western view than Palestine in the world. Then
There's like nobody, not even the liberals are like pro America or something.
oh yeah, no, even the liberal like why the fuck would they be bro, man? Like no, definitely not. Like the liberals are just bro social democracy, not bro America. Fuck America. Why would we like the USA? Like like there are people that don't hate the USA or don't really hate the USA because they were born there. That's it. They were born there. That's just it. Right? We do definitely hate the West a lot.
Oh, that's good.
Like I told you, the figures who we liked. Saddam, Gaddafi. These don't seem like very pro-Western types.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes there's a liberal. There's always a liberal somewhere on Earth.
Oh yeah, there is in Palestine, but like they're very, very rare. Like there are more communists than that type of the type of liberal that you're thinking of does not like they're as rare as communists are in Ebola. Basically.
Okay. Okay.
That's how rare they are. Like they're all obviously liberals, but not the type that you're thinking of. Not the type both sides bad. Oh, let's collaborate with Israel. Or the USA is not that bad. No, these people do not exist. Like there are like three people in Palestine who get beaten up for their views. Like they would be. Oh yeah, they would get beaten up for being collaborators. I'm not joking. Like these people definitely get beaten up or could get killed for this. Like it's not like this is the only thing you could get killed for in the West Bank. You like being a collaborator. If your family's a collaborator, you're 100% gonna be killed. 100%. But like some men are gonna find you and they're gonna kill you. I'm not joking. Like this happens. And it's sad sometimes, like, oh, yeah, like, sometimes there's blackmail. I know a lot of people bring up being gay, but, like, it's not the main blackmailing thing. Like, I remember some guy was just, like, bribed to be an informant, and I think he got killed in the end, obviously. Like, guys found him. They killed him because he was a collaborator. He was an informant for for Israel.
What are you
And
gonna do?
and there was also a guy, he had a sex tape, I think. Or with a woman, not a man, but, like, he had a weird he got a weird tape. He was tricked on the internet or shit. It turned out to be an Israeli bishop. He became an informant, and, in the end, he got killed. Like, these are there's no execution in Palestine, like, we in the West Bank, if the Palestinian Authority rules here. And, some of our, roles are basically taken from Europe, countries like Norway, where execution is illegal. They don't execute people there. So actually, we don't have any executions. The only executions we have are not from the Palestinian Authority itself, but from people here who execute you for doing yeah, you're not gonna kill it for any, crime you're gonna do. The only unless it's, collaboration, which is not a crime, but about like it's not classified as one by law. Like you're getting killed, like how it's so how honor like honor shaming happened. This is the honor shaming, but for collaboration instead of sex before marriage, right? Yeah, instead of sex before marriage, this is for Israeli collaboration, which is actually a good thing because
Yeah, but I'd say that. I mean, other collaborators is like usually like just like regular people, and they get like I don't know, like a really incriminating evidence, or are they usually pro-Israel somewhat?
no, sadly, no. They're definitely not pro Israel. Who's gonna be pro Israel in Palestine? Usually, yeah, there is probably some pro Israel person somewhere. Like statistically, they have to exist, but yeah, they get killed definitely, or they run away from the country. Like, sadly, they're probably on they get incriminating evidence side there. Well, they kind of have to. So it's somewhat tragic, but like, but can you blame like us? Well, what are they supposed to do? I mean, like we can't, like and Israel in general, when Israel gets with the informants or allies or collaborators, uh, Israel gets rid of them. You know how America treated the scientists they basically stole in World War II? That's how Israel treats collaborators. Anyways, so they get killed anyways, regardless with who kills them.
That is fucking wild.
Yeah, and
That is wild. Holy shit.
like to explain to you like what our liberals are like. Our liberals are basically social democrats of Latin America. Like that's basically the closest I could give you. Like not liberals in the U.S. Latin American social democracies. What's the social democracy in Latin America? Brazil's one, right? But
Or like
well, like
Bolivia.
Bolivia, yeah. Bolivia's bar, like but people don't know about Bolivia. Bolivia, yeah, Bolivia is cool, right? But like we're talking about, a social democracy that's a big one. Brazil, a big country. People love Brazil. People love football, obviously. So like that. Venezuela is more than Bolivia here, man. I guess it's because Chavez in the door have been there for a long ass time. I've read my brother's book. Like my brother has a geography book. I don't know what it's called in a like one of our books, the one that has geography and history and civil law. I don't know what's its name called in English, but like when it talks about Latin America, it mentions that there are countries supportive of Palestine in Latin America. And the two countries they mention are Cuba and Venezuela. So cool, right?
Okay. Okay. So you guys are very big Maduro fans, I'm guessing.
Yeah, yeah, pretty supportive of Venezuela, because like I told you, Palestinians in general are geopolitically very much on the left. Like, who would we support? Would we support the neo Nazis in Europe who love Israel, like the AfD or or the National Rally in France? We hate these people. Like, what are we gonna like about them? They hate immigrants. They're racist as fuck. They're neo-Nazis, and they don't hide it, and they love Israel, like, they and it's not a joke, like, have you seen the AfD? And they're really popular in Germany right now, and we fucking hate Germany. Like, the AfD has really, like, let's just breed that. Like, they're not they're definitely very bad.
Can I get enough AFD hate, honestly? Or German hate. German hate. Can I get enough German hate? How do most Palestinians feel about the Ukraine war, the Russia-Ukraine war? They're obviously on the Russian side.
Okay, my parents support Russia, people support Russia. I don't know a single person that supports Ukraine.
Oh, okay.
Like, not really surprising at all, like, or not.
Not at all.
No, no, like, not at all. Like, if you like the only war that has ever had the Palestinians really mixed views on was probably the Iraq-Kuwait war, because people did not really want Kuwait to be invaded, but people liked Iraq. And the BLO itself actually sided with Iraq. And we got kicked out of the Gulf for it. Like, Palestinians were kicked out of Kuwait and the UAE and all the Gulf countries for because the BLO supported Saddam. And here's the thing, I kinda see the Kuwait-Iraq war as basically the Ukraine-Russia war going on today. They're not the same, but they have, similar things, to me. There are barrels between them. Saddam and Putin are 2 that I think, like, in the beginning, they were people that were seen by the West as, they kinda supported by the West,
Yeah.
and then they turned on them. The West turned on them, not Putin, not Saddam. They didn't turn on the West, they turned on them because they stopped being puppets in both cases.
Yeah.
It also you also have, a lot of sanctions on Iraq, an insane amount of sanctions on Iraq, just like Russia. Every single person supporting Iraq getting, support for Kuwait being exactly like support for Ukraine. The difference between Ukraine and Kuwait is that I'll tell you, that Kuwait had more support than Ukraine. There's a crazy amount of support for Ukraine in the West, right? But that's not true outside of the West. I'm not joking when I tell you that I swear that the Ukrainians I know care about the Ukraine war less than people in Western Europe or the USA, the liberals in the USA. Like, see that Ukrainian woman? She doesn't fucking care, probably because she lives here, but she has family in Ukraine, and she cares less about the war than the goddamn, Americans and Europeans who, support, the Ukrainian groups in the war and hate Russia. I'm not joking. Like, I feel like Ukrainians care less about the war than Americans or Europeans. The liberal Europeans, the ones that being Russia evil, Putin evil, these ones the ones that are Putin, Putin, Putin all the time. The guys that believe in Russiagate in America. These types.
I mean, I honestly, I think Putin invented the Palestinian people, you know? Putin invented Palestine, yeah.
But Kuwait actually had more support than Ukraine, if you don't know, because Kuwait was supported by the international community and by Arab countries, except us. The BLO did not, and the BLO was not a country. They were just a group, and they got kicked out of multiple countries for their shenanigans. Like, one of them was overthrowing the Jordanian monarchy. We kind of tried to overthrow it, but like we didn't succeed. There was the Lebanese civil war. And there's supporting Saddam over, and invading Kuwait. That was one. And here's the thing: Kuwait was the aggressor here, not Saddam. Saddam, why did he invade Kuwait? Because Kuwait was stealing oil, and that's a fact. That's factual. Okay, he did steal oil. And here's the thing: Palestinians don't support Iraq's invasion. Like, yes, we support. Like, many people here support Saddam. They like Saddam. I feel very mixed on Saddam. Like, he was obviously better for Iraq than whatever the hell was after him, and he was obvious for Iraq. He was good, but you know what Saddam was like. I'll tell you exactly what Saddam was. You know Stalin, right? Like, we're communists. We all know Stalin. Saddam was basically the Arab version of Stalin, but not Stalin as in the real Stalin, the Western propaganda version of Stalin. And I'm not joking here. Saddam himself actually liked Stalin. And there are a lot of Western studies on this that you'll find that, oh, Saddam was like Stalin and Hitler, blah, blah, blah. Falsely equating Stalin with Hitler and blah, blah, blah. We know that the West is bullshit, but like Saddam did, in fact, like Stalin. But Saddam's view on Stalin was the Western view, you know, the Stalin Gulag, blah, blah, blah. That view, the Stalin eat all the grain. So basically, Saddam, yeah, he basically copied what Stalin did
Mm.
from the liberal historian point of view. Not the actual Stalin, but the anti-communist Western version
You think
of Stalin.
you think the
So that
statue was for
no,
Stalin
that
or
that caused basically. let me tell you what he got. The cult of personality. There was a cult of personality system. So that was supported by Iraqis and still is. There are a lot of people that in Iraq that actually support. Like, I'll tell you the three places where you find the Saddam supporters like Jordan, Palestine, and Iraq. Palestine being the one with the most support. Uh, there's a there's a cult of personality. There were some improvements in Iraq. There was, free education, some sort of form of Pan-Arabism. So there were good things in Iraq under Saddam. I think women's rights got better under him. There were good things. But industrialization, semi-prosperous country. But there was also very bad things like the treatment of the Shia, treatment of the Kurdish people, etc., etc. Yeah, that was pretty bad. Also, kind of a dictatorship, but that goes without saying. All the other countries were dictatorships. They're like, what Arabic? Okay, we were like, what Arabic country wasn't a dictatorship?
What
He basically,
country isn't a dictatorship right now? I mean,
yeah, I mean in the liberal sense of view. I don't mean the bourgeoisie. I don't mean bourgeoisie dictatorship because every that would mean every single country in the world is except the DPRK and Cuba and China.
oh, you mean like a liberal democracy?
I mean in the liberal democracy has I love when liberals talk about Russia being a dictatorship because yes and no, like it is a dictatorship of the bourgeoisie, obviously, but it is not a liberal dictatorship, not in their view, because Putin, and I've talked to Russians, I've talked to a lot of Russians, and they all agree, even the ones that don't support Putin, that the majority of Russians fucking support Putin. Like it's not really surprising at all. They do support him. And they do vote for him in the elections. Not really, like, obviously they do weird shit, they do cheat somewhat, but Putin has more support than Trump does in the US, or Kamala did, or Biden did, like, or Hillary did Hillary won the Bobby Lee election in 2016, but Trump won.
Speaking of that, how the fuck did you guys see our election? Like how the fuck did that look from your end? Did that look like the most insane shit ever? Or did you guys not even give a fuck?
I mean, look, people here hate Trump a lot. Like, we hate the Democrats. We don't like the Democrats, but people here really hate Trump. If you don't know, and I told you a lot of times, we're like the most anti-Western place of all time. We don't see, we see the Republicans negatively, very, very, very negative. We also see the Democrats negatively. But Trump moved the embassy to Jerusalem, and that pissed people here off. I remember getting a holiday here. I was in school back then when that happened, and we got a free holiday for it. So I was happy about that. But people were absolutely mad about it. They were livid, and they still are. They really hate Trump. They don't like Trump. And I told you, we hate Neely, president of Argentina now, who's basically a Western dick sucker. He loves Israel. He loves America. He hates. He's a typical anti-communist, but he's actually the word I love his existence because he will never make libertarians popular in Palestine ever. Thank you for this. Like genuinely, look, at what one, he's a clown, and he like Trump's a clown, right? Like Trump's somewhat funny. Miele is Trump if he was worse, if he was more of a clown than he is.
Yeah, but Malay's not funny. Malay's not funny.
Miele's not funny. He's just a
No,
clown.
no.
Trump's
Trump,
kind of funny lately.
he's very
Trump's
funny.
kind of funny though. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, people do like Trump does make us laugh, but we do hate Trump. Like, and we did wish that Trump not wouldn't win. Not because we support the Democrats. Like we would tell you to support third party. Like everyone here in Pakistan would tell you, just support third party, you stupid dumb fuck. Like that's what we would tell you. Like vote for the Green Party, vote for BSL. People don't know about BSL here, but like the Green Party. Yeah, vote for the Green Party. The Green Party, compared to the Democrats and the Republicans, is very good. And hell, the Green Party is compared to the Green parties of Europe, they're much better. You know Green parties in Europe, like there's the German one, the French one, the Italian. There's a lot of Green parties in Europe. The Green Party in America is surprisingly good in comparison with them because they're actually against the genocide and they're somewhat respectable views on things like climate change, etc., etc. They're much more respectable than the social democratic, let's support Ukraine parties in Europe.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't pay attention to European politics. I've just sort of given up on that continent, you know?
Oh yeah, we do pay attention. So like, we don't pay attention to politics in general. America, like, matters to the entire world. We pay attention to Israeli politics too. Obviously, because we don't have any elections here, except the ones that happen in universities that I told you about. These are the only ones we have,
Huh.
right? Yeah. So we don't really. So we pay attention to other elections. Watch out the elections in Israel, which are which are more of a clown show than you expect. Like, they're fair, yeah, but they're also kind of not fair. Typical of liberal democracies. Stupid bullshit happening all the time.
Are you guys, like, laughing at him most of the time or,
No, yeah, it's not as like there's funny shit like when Netanyahu became kind of technically allied for a time with the Islamic Brotherhood because he was part of the opposition to the leadership when he was not a prime minister. That was funny, but like, no, they're less of a clown show than U.S. politics are. U.S. politics are absolutely hilarious.
you're telling us we're worse than the Israelis?
On politics side, no, you're not like worse than this, but like funnier, yeah. On more of a clown show, yeah. Because like honestly, the Israelis are much worse. Like, so the worst Republican is not worse. The best the least annoying and the least evil right wing Israeli. And here's the thing, I think you guys overrate how bad you are. Like, Republicans in the West aren't as evil as people in the AfD or the right wing parties in Europe that are really getting popular right now, that are winning elections right now. Like, they're winning right now. I'd say that they're worse than the Republicans, than the people that vote for the Republicans, not Republican people themselves. The people who are running the Republican Party I'd argue, almost as bad. More as bad because they run America. But if these people that were like in the AfD ran America, then yeah, then they would be the ultimate bad. But thankfully, they don't.
I don't know. I think I'm
Like, I'm sorry, but like, are you gonna tell me like the people that vote for Republicans are more racist than people that vote for the AfD? They're not. I'm sorry. Like, they're not that racist. Like, they're racist, sure. They're pretty bad. They fucking suck. We know, but they're not as bad. Like, you're like, I know Europeans. Oh, you're not left wing Americans. We're much more left wing. What left wing are you talking about in Europe? The AfD, who's gonna win the German elections? The National Rally, or like who literal Nazis are winning in Europe.
yeah. You know, I mean, I think in America, like, supporting free healthcare or something, like, that's what they used to measure it, so it's like, they can be Nazis, but if they support, like, free healthcare, then they're, like, left-wing Nazis or I don't know. That's basically how our progressives approach it.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying that, like the left wingers, not the left wingers, the liberals in Europe, like they always love to talk about how right wing America is. And don't get me wrong, America is, especially from the economic point of view and geopolitical point of view, we're very fucking right wing. We know this. Everyone does. But not left wingy. I think the liberals in Europe that love to talk. What left wing are they? Like, I remember when Hassan mentioned, "Oh, our social democracy." He made fun of Germans talking about their social democracy. Really, what the? I'm genuinely confused on what left wing are they talking about in Europe? Like, who's the most left leaning, president in Europe that you think of? I can't name a single one. To be honest with you,
Nah, not really.
there isn't one. That's more like, yeah, like Latin America has more. It has definitely more people that are left wing than like the Europeans have. Always so more progressive than you. You have you're homophobic, you're transphobic, and then us- they will elect someone deport all immigrants, kill all gay people. Like, that's like, how are you really supposed to take the guys who always accuse us of being misogynistic and homophobic and et cetera seriously when you guys have people that are much more right wing than whoever the hell we support in the Middle East. Like, I don't remember us supporting neo Nazis. Like, ironically.
No, no, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it's a fucking clown show. It'll be like the Social Democrats to support like deporting all Afghanis or some shit.
Oh, yeah, yeah, in Germany especially, like, in Germany, Germany's a shit show. I have g like, there are good German people. Like, I'm not saying all German people are shit. Like, I have a friend in Germany, and she's a communist, right? Like us. Like, she shares our political views. But, like, yeah, let's just say, like, Germany's fucked up, man. Like, the anti-douche movement. I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't wanna pronounce it correctly because I don't fucking care. Like, how is it anti-deuterium? Like, I make fun of left communists all the time because they're just armchair socialists that have never done anything, and people that are anti-China. Because, you know, when has the West ever done, the Western left ever done anything remotely good or remotely cool or remotely, with material effect?
Ah.
I'm sorry, like the anti-douche crowd is, and how do I don't know how to pronounce it, and I don't want to know how to pronounce it. The really quote unquote left wing Zionist ground in Germany, the ones that mention Marx by name. Oh my god, and have weird political theorists. Oh boy, they're worse than left communists.
Yeah.
Like they don't talk about commodity. Like forget commodity production. These guys talk about how Germans are evil. Okay, they're right. So we have to support American imperialism. Is America defeated Germany? Or what's up? Like
You have like anarchists that are like marching tornado.
historical analysis. Like these the fucks don't notice the Soviet Union. Like America was responsible for not for Germany, not for Nazi Germany. They were responsible for other stuff in the war. Japan and Italy. More so than Nazi Germany. That was mostly the Soviet Union. But no, like these guys, oh, Germans are evil and bad and inherently bad. Which, that alone is an anti-material view of things, Anti-materials view. Oh, the Germans are inherently bad. But to be honest, I'm starting to believe it. Not in the way the anti-Dutch crowd believes it, but in a singular way. Because like, oh, Germans are inherently bad, so let's support America because they stopped the Nazis. Like, like that's literally their view. And they have weird theorists as well. Obviously, these guys are not as big as they seem, but they still exist. They're not fake. They're not like left communists only just on the internet that you never meet, thankfully. These guys actually exist in two countries. The only two countries they exist in. Austria and Germany. These are the only two places you will, alhamdulillah, meet them in. You're not gonna meet them in any other country. Thankfully. But, they're real, and, like, they're cursed, or like, they mention Marx, Marx. They mentioned they use Marx's name in vain, man. What the fuck? Like, it makes me wanna puke when they talk about, they use Marxist names, slogans, phrases, and talk about opposing Hamas and loving Israel. Like, in fact, even Die Linke, which is supposed to be a left-wing social democratic thing, like, they're one of their candidates this year, I don't know what was it in, like, somebody posted a picture of him wearing 4 shirts. One was a shirt of Karl Marx, one was a shirt of the IDF, and one was a shirt of Israel, and one was a shirt of I don't know what the 3rd one, the 4th one, I forgot, but, like, that alone is cursed. I already told you that that's fucking cursed. Very, very cursed. Because, like, who the hell, like, that's actually worse than the view of real left wing Israelis. Like, because I'm not joking. I'm not joking when I talk. You're gonna tell me, yeah, Germans are worse than the Israelis. Some of them seem to be, because yes, in Israel, and Israel sucks. But yeah, Ali Mbappe, for example, is a good example I brought up. Ali Mbappe is a historian, an Israeli historian, who was one of in Israel, the new historians, alongside Zionist dipshit Benny Morris and other guys, two other ones I forgot the name. I like Baba the most. Baba's cool. Baba's an Israeli, right? But he supports Palestine and, the Palestinian national liberation, etc., etc. Does Mbappe have the stupid? There are people like Mbappe in Israel. There are people that are less supportive of Palestinian liberation, like people that are liberals on a less side of like not liberals, but like they're liberals, but they're very tolerable for what society they come from. Like you know Haaretz, right? Where are you? You mentioned Haaretz. Well,
Yeah, yeah. Haaretz or whatever.
relax. They're not. They're much better than the German anti-Dutch crowd. Like, like I'm sorry, but that's a bad. Like, if I were to rank them on who's more evil, I'll tell you the anti-Dutch crowd is much more fucking cursed than because like they hand out flyers. I told you that this guy had to like they hand out flyers that mention Marx's name and Marxism, and they tell you about how we must love Israel and we must get rid of Hamas at the same time in Germany and Austria. So yeah, they're very fun. That's how bad they are. I'm telling you, they're worse than some Israelis are. That's really bad.
Good stuff.
Next scene.
That's the CIA Marxism or some shit.
Oh yeah, that's a level of that like a lot of people make fun of Trotskyists and other like groups, but nah, these guys are the worst. But thankfully, they're not that big. Like, sadly, they exist, but not that big. And thankfully, I've only had to deal with them. I don't want to mention him. I really like fuck Germany. I'll have to fuck you, Germany.
Hi, bro. I think I'm gonna go to sleep. It's like 1:34 a.m. here. Uh,
Oh God. Don't you want to ask anything related? Like, you didn't ask about communism here.
what's communism like in Palestine?
There are communists. Like obviously there are feminists about that. I told you, like my grandma's brother was a full-on communist that studied in a communist at the time. Like he supported communism. He was a communist. He died a communist. He was fully committed. Like I think he was what I think he was politically, involved in one of our political groups. The normal ones, not the ones involved in military operations. Like there's a Palestinian communist youth group here. There's a Palestinian communist bodies that exists. And in general, there still exists a pro socialist slash communist crowd here,
Mm,
but much less than there was in the 80s or 90s. It's less today. Because back then the BLO was our major representative, and the BLO was in fact our representative. Nowadays, the BA represents us, politically on things like the UN, but the BA does not represent Palestinians really. Doesn't represent us. Hamas does. Well, now, like politically, who the Palestinians side to it? Us, people that support the BFOB also support Hamas. People who support Hamas also support the BFOB. If you understand what I mean. Like they obviously have shared views on things that to us matter most more than other things.
yeah. How do Palestinian people feel about like all the international recognition you guys are getting?
Oh yeah, we're happy. Like a lot of people, I would tell people that I would say that people are a bit too optimistic. I would say that people are getting a bit too optimistic, if anything. Like people are very happy. Like it's yeah, like everyone are really happy about the international recognition, and especially the countries that have cut ties. Like Colombia a year ago has cut ties. I think Turkey cut ties a day or two ago. Nicaragua cut ties a month ago, and Nicaragua was one of the countries that already had to was one of when the Sandinista revolution happened, they cut ties with Israel, but they restored them in 2017. They cut them again. There was also Bolivia, which when Evo Morales cut ties with Israel, and then there happened the coup. But when the genocide happened, they cut ties with Israel. We're very happy about this. Very, very, very happy. But I say that Basties are getting a bit too optimistic about this because people are seeing it as a change of major consensus. And look, it's true that the consensus is shifting, but the countries with I think the consensus in matters most are in Europe and the USA. And still, while there's obviously a big change, they still haven't fully changed. Like I'm pretty sure that if you ask me, the proof of this is, the results. I'm not talking about the American elections. American elections are very fucking unfair. Like, more unfair than like most elections in the world. Like, we in Palestine had only 3 elections, and they were all more fair than the ones in Adam. The American elections are fucking shit.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
yeah,
whenever America overthrows a government, we don't even try to install in like a system like America. We always do a parliamentary system because even we know
yeah,
our system
you're
fucked.
shit. Like, yeah, well, like, to remind you, we had 3 elections, right? Like, one was in the Palestinians, between the Palestinian Authority candidates, between Mustafa al-Barouthi, I think, and Abu Mazen. Abu Mazen won. I think I don't know if this one is in the Palestinian Authority. One between Arafat and a woman who was an independent but represented the FLP. Arafat won. And one between Hamas and Fatah, where Hamas won fairly, by the way. Like, Hamas won. And I've read that Hillary said that we should have gotten involved in typical Hillary fashion. But they didn't get involved. They didn't let Fatah win because they were scared that Fatah might use the money they were going to fund them with to attack Israel. Ironical. Like, nice. Like, Bush was the one who just didn't want to get involved. They wanted to wait to see the results. Hillary was mad because, Hamas won and said that, "See, we should have gotten involved from the beginning. You should have cheated." The results were fair in all of these. And by the way, when people voted for Hamas in 2006, Hamas was not seen yet as the main representative of Palestine. The people who voted for Hamas weren't mainly Hamas supporters, they were actually Fatah supporters that were just disillusioned because, Fatah was kind of gone in a sense because, the second intifada failed, basically. Like, Arafat died, and a lot of things happened. And after this thing, Gaza happened. Oh boy.
Wait, did people in the West Bank vote for Hamas too?
Oh yeah, definitely. Actually, I'm pretty sure people in the West Bank voted more for Hamas than the people in Gaza did.
Oh shit! What the fuck?
In fact, even now, I'll tell you this. I told you I talked to people from Gaza, right? There is more support for Hamas in the West Bank than there is in Gaza. This is something people in the West Bank don't know. People in Israel don't know. Only any people in Gaza don't know. I know this because I talk to a lot of people. Like, I help people go. You see me. I use Hexpert, right? I go, like, there are people that I know from Gaza. They have GoFundMe's. I boast their GoFundMe's on Hexpert. I've talked to a lot of the Gazans that I've tried to help. And thankfully we've gotten donations for them. But the majority consensus of all the people of Gaza from Gaza that I've talked to, they're all, have all different political views. Is that there's less support from Hamas than there is in the West Bank, which I found very surprising because I did not know about this, and no one has ever told me about this before. Because Israel, like, if you read Israeli publications, you'd think that, Gazans support Hamas, and they do militarily, kind of. But like, people, kind of, like, one of my friends from Gaza who does actually support Hamas, one of the few ones that fully does, who shares the views of people from the West Bank, has told me that there are a lot of people in Gaza that kind of feel that Hamas caused what has happened in here, in Gaza. And, obviously, what has happened in Gaza is fucking terrifying. Like, 200,000 people have died, maybe even more. Like, there clearly have been a lot of deaths that have been not counted yet. And, like, everyone from Gaza that I've talked to has told me that there are probably more than 200,000 deaths in Gaza, and that's fucking terrifying. Because I'm pretty sure it's much more. How many deaths right now? Probably 300,000. It will get more, hopefully not, but doesn't seem to, a lot of horrible shit as another. Like, every single person that I've talked to in Gaza have told me these things. Like, Israel has bombed vans, cars, streets, pretty much everything. Houses. They don't tell people that they didn't bomb their house before they bomb them. But sometimes, like, the people don't leave and they get bombed. Like, my friend got his house bombed. Yeah, fully. He managed to go to Egypt. This is the one that actually has the view of B1, the West Bank.
Okay.
He got his hand injured, and during, like, he had to for a week to hide in his school with people, and to wait for lines for bread, like, hours. And they had, for I think 3 to 4 weeks, they had no clean water. or even more actually. Maybe I don't even know what they still have. And they're in church, and the way I know 100% they're from Gaza, I knew they were from Gaza because I knew them before the war started. And it was very hard to contact them when they were in Gaza. Like, they'd get internet every now and then, and they had to pay for something to get the internet they had. And they'd talk to me for like 3 seconds. It seems to be better now. Like, I could easily contact the people in Gaza now compared to back then at that time. But like at the time, it was very hard to contact them. Like, they have internet for like 5 seconds. It just would cut for the entire week. And they told me that there was no clean water, there was no bread, there was nothing. People were getting bombed. Like, they've seen stuff. Like, my friend has told me that he's seen heads of people, kids, not men, not adults, kids being cut in half. They have seen babies die. It's really terrifying. And one thing that I remember for one of my other friends, not him, a girl, that has told me similar stuff. Obviously, there were massacres in neighborhoods, etc., etc. But one main thing that I remember you know, that has caught my attention that I've never really mentioned is in the beginning. This is, I think, in the first 2 months or first 3 months, would get the men and the boys and strip them. The soldiers would strip them down. They would strip them fully naked, torture them, and take their stuff
Mhm.
with them in the streets, fully,
Like,
and they steal their stuff.
oh, damn. Like,
Yeah.
they'd steal, like, their wallets and, like, things like
Yes.
that? Oh,
Yes,
shit.
their stuff. Yeah, and their clothes.
God damn. Man, fuck
And
Israel. Good God.
yeah, I know. When I was talking about, a lot of people in Gaza have kind of, and my friend tells me, the one that managed to go to Egypt, that a lot of Gazans kind of do ways. It's not all, and people were mad, like where people were sad about Sinwar's death, for example. But like, and people before the war did actually support Hamas. Not really surprising, really, but like, from what I've understood, people in Gaza have less support for Hamas than we do in the West Bank. Like, people in the West Bank have the view of, communists, what communists view Hamas as. We support national liberation, right? Yeah, people definitely do in the West Bank. Like, and the vast majority of everyone in the West Bank supports what happened on October 7th, and obviously doesn't believe Israel because why the fuck would we? Gaza seems to be not the same. In fact, there seems to be a more negative view of us in Gaza due to the war and other things. I think. I don't know about the other things because we don't live in Gaza, and living in Gaza is much harder. People who are born in Gaza cannot travel to the West Bank unless they're very, very, very sick. That's the only way you can travel to Palestine. And for Egypt, which they could travel to, it's very hard as well. Then it's not easy. It's easier in the West Bank, but like you have to pay a lot of money. And oh yeah, for Sisi fucked everything up. When Sisi came, he basically closed the borders on Gazans, and they really hate him for that. And we hate him in general. Also, during the war, this one, the genocide currently happening in Gaza are people. They take like 10,000 for one person for every family. One person has to pay more than 7,000. Like, I have been given different numbers by people. Like, my mom tells me 10,000, but I have a friend who I'm trying to help. She hasn't started a GoFundMe yet. Like, a lot of people have started a GoFundMe. She hasn't yet. I don't know why. I'm trying to help her. And she says that for every person, Israel takes 7,000. Not Israel, sorry, Egypt takes 7,000 for every single person. $7,000, not shekels. Shekels are Israeli currency. They take $7,000 for every single person. For one person each. Kids, family, babies, etc. So people like my family's made of 5 people, right? A family made of 10 people is gonna have 70,000
That's
to
fucking
go
insane.
outside, And yeah, no one can afford that basically. Like,
No, obviously not.
yeah, yeah, no one can afford that. Um, I don't know if you know Hexper. Hexper is communist. It's kind of on Lemmy. Look, we've managed to raise a lot of money for, for people for Gaza. Like I've helped the guys that run the site. We're doing one right now, or second one. Well, we managed to raise ones for people I knew from Gaza. Thankfully, we raised a lot of money. I'm really glad about the amount of money raised. I'm very happy, and the people from Gaza are very happy that we managed to raise a lot of money that I know. But, like, yeah, that's why every single Gazan has, like, on their GoFundMe, why do you see 35,000? It's because for every single person, they take 7,000, and that's just the money they have to pay to go to Egypt, not to live there and, pay a start another life. They're gonna have to, get another house, get a job, etc., etc. Their houses have been destroyed fully. Like my friend has had his house destroyed. His neighbor's house has been destroyed. His friends have died. His uncles have died. His cousins have died. And, and I say died, but they were killed. They were not. They haven't died. They were killed by Israelis. And they marched there, obviously. It's pretty terrifying what's going on in Gaza, and I don't really want to talk about it. Like I have. Sorry. But yeah, so that I wanted to say that the view of Hamas in the West Bank is much more positive than the one in Gaza, and it's kind of due to the war because we people in that like people in the West Bank suffer. Don't get me wrong, we suffer, and we're not privileged compared to the rest of the world. But compared to Gazans, we are privileged. Like I haven't had to experience any of the things my friends in Gaza had to experience. Like my friends in Gaza had to see kids with their heads cut in half, and I don't mean like kids that's 14 years old. I mean people that are 7 or 6 having their heads cut in half, seeing people dead like everywhere, and houses bombed everywhere. We see houses bombed. We get our houses destroyed. We walk on checkpoints. We don't have any fucking jobs right now. No one has any jobs. Even people who are educated. And Palestinian society is very educated. Like it's not like we're not educated. We have a very high literacy rate. Same with God. Oh, but there's no dying. We're privileged compared to them. Like we don't have to face what they face. And even before the war, we did not have to face what they face. So that it makes me, I'm I don't really know what to say. How about you?
Huh? Yeah. I'm still here. Uh, yeah, yeah. No, I don't know what to say. It's just it's a tough situation.
Hey,
We do have to wrap this up since it's coming up to the 2 hour mark, and I can't do more than 2 hours. But yeah. Do you have any final last words, Mo?
about I'm thinking. Oh yeah, keep protesting. Uh, I'd say keep protesting. Keep boycotting Israeli American Western products. Keep keep fighting. Our struggle is one struggle. I don't really have much else to say. If you have any questions, ask me. If you have like one, simple question.
Oh, one simple question. What do you hope for the future?
Uh, we hope for what do we hope for the future? Uh, we hope for the restoration of the lives of people in Gaza. We hope our brothers and sisters in Gaza can get what they get to survive and live.
This episode of the Pokepreet Pod has been brought to you by our generous members on our Patreon. If you'd like to become one of them, go to patreon.com/thepokepreetpod. Thank you. What the fuck? Glory to Stalin. I barely and a special shout out to our Marshal of the Soviet Union member, Matthias T. If you'd also like a shout out, please consider subscribing to our Patreon, where you can also get episodes up to a month early. Thank you.